Alright, I just made this quick tutorial, put it together real quick. It's more of a Cliff Note version on how to build a whip, but I got a couple requests on, just how to do it from a video I made with me and my buddy cracking a couple beers open with a whip. And this is the final product of what you'll see in the video. It's just shy of actually 7 feet, but it's supposed to be 6 feet. But from the handle, it's 6 feet to the end. And I still haven't finished it, but I'm probably going to make a ball out of cast aluminum just on the end so your hand doesn't slide off. And I have a long handle in this whip. But this is pretty much the tutorial on how I made it. And I was a little distracted when I was making it, so I made a couple oopses. And the Giants were playing. They won. They beat the Redskins. So I was kind of excited about that. But you could see the mistakes I did, if you know a little bit about whip building and making. But, it was mainly just in, the different plating is what I did. There's a couple of mistakes in the handle, but I might actually cut it off, make it shorter, and have an extension of a handle, a longer handle on here. But that's pretty much it. It's cool that you guys made it to the page to check it out. So, with that being said, here it is. Alright, this is everything that I'm going to use to make a bullwhip. What I have here is a 1/4-inch rod that I ground down so it'll fit in the paracord. And you can push it on as far as you like. I've got BBs in here, which I use to, give me a second here, shot load the whip, where I insert the BBs down into the paracord, have them end on end, and it gives it weight. Scissors, paracord, which I ordered from Home Depot. It's okay, it works. And I have fishing line, which is braid. I believe this is 40-pound test. A lacing needle that I made actually out of different furniture screws. Tape and a lighter. Alright, this is the lengths that I used, and I refer back to them. And I basically cut everything before I started the video, just so I had a general idea, because if I run out of materials, then you're stuck. Then you got to get more. So that's what I made that for. The first thing you want to do is cut all of your pieces of paracord so you know what you're dealing with, and you can know if you didn't get enough or not. I'll put this in the description on the different lengths on everything. But I'm going to start off with a 3.5-foot center core, which is shot loaded. And the end of it, first thing I did was I wrapped it around with the fishing line. And I really made it tight, because when you crack this whip, all of these BBs keep pushing on it. And eventually it'll come apart if you don't tie it. So I did that, and that took it takes a while to do that. But the ends, you're going to want to singe them, because otherwise they're going to fray. Just singe them down. I use the bottom of the lighter, and that's pretty much what you do. Alright, so the next thing I did is I cut 2 pieces of paracord, one's 7 foot, one's 4 foot, and I gutted them. I took out the center strands, then I singed the ends. And what I'm going to actually do is attach the shot loaded core to the handle. And the handle, I'm going to actually cut this down. It's roughly about 14 inches, I want to say. And then, I ground down a 1/2 inch. So I've got to put that into the end of this. And then I'm going to take these and wrap them around it. Okay, so I have bound this pretty tight, and I took the extra and just wrapped it around it for now with the fishing line. What I'm going to do is wrap a small layer of tape starting about 5 inches into the core, and then I'm going to come down to the bottom of the handle. Alright, and this is what we have. Simple. Now I'm going to take my next 2 strands, and I'm simply going to tape them onto the handle on either side, and then when I run it down, it's going to kind of be like a little triangle. So it's going to kind of be round, but it's really not. When we do the other bellies, it will round out. So don't worry about it. Alright, so what I did is I got myself a little clamp here to help hold it down, just to make it a little easier for me. And then I went down to the end of all 3 pieces, and I stopped, I don't know, about 1.5 feet before the end. But we're going to cut some of this off. Some of this is going to get cut off probably to about there. So you don't want bulk towards the end of the whip, because it's going to slow it down and make it a lot harder to crack. So here. Next step we're going to do is right where this transition is, in between the end of the handle and the actual core itself, we're going to beef that up a little. We're going to just wrap it around a whole bunch of times so it's got a little more strength and it feels a little firmer, because it wears out and it can make or break a whip, I think. And it also does help with the balance of it, because this whip's going to have a heavy handle. I haven't made up my mind yet if I'm going to do a cast aluminum handle or if I'm going to, take different clothing and make a resin handle with different fiberglass glues and whatnot. But I don't know. We'll see. Might be wood. And another thing that I do, whenever, I just don't rip the tape because it gives it some little bit of bulk. I cut it. So it's nice. And that's that. And we're going on to belly number 1. Alright, so we're at our next step here, and we have 2 10-foot lengths. And when I cut them to length and gutted them, I tied a knot in the center, so I know exactly where the center is. My camera's moving, look at that. And it helps with this right now. So we get our first one on here, put the knot in the back, and we're going to go underneath, and we're going to go over. And then we're going to have a little loop here. Going to grab the end of the one other strand, slide it in, to that little loop, and tighten this up, the first strand, and I just pull, and the knot will tell you that you have just gotten to the center. So I'll slide the other knot to the top, have the knots touch each other. Okay, slide that up. And now we can start our plating. And this is going to be 2 on each side, so I've got 4 strands. And the way I tell what strand you want to use next in any kind of plating that I do is I look at the bottom one, and because it's on an angle, it points to the upper right, which is this strand. So basically we're going to take this strand, the top strand that it points to, this bottom one, and we're going to go under one, over one. Okay. Now, this bottom strand points to the top strand on the left side. So we're going to push it under, and we're going to go again, under one, over one. And then you'll start to see the formation or a pattern coming along. And we're just going to do this till we run out, till we have about a foot left, and we'll catch up there. Alright, we got as far as we could, and basically what I'm going to do is stagger these. So they're going to all be different lengths. And that way, it has a nice smooth transaction. Because otherwise, again, you're going to get bulk. And we're trying to prevent bulk. And I'm just going to, put them in such a clever way that they're going to wrap around this so it's nice and smooth. And then I'm going to, again, wrap the whole whip again with electrical tape. Alright, again, where it starts to leave and transition into the actual whip, leaving the handle, you want to go over that about 2 times and then continue on to the end of the whip. Okay, my next step of what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this belly here, the transition point, with a little bit of fishing line and put another layer of electrical tape over it just to give it, a little more strength there, because this stuff doesn't really like to flex, so it'll get a little more spring because it's pulling tension on all the different layers of tape, and paracord it'll really shore it up a little. So I'm going to wrap it, a couple inches, and that's it. And that's pretty much what I did. Wrapped it around. I'm just going to put another layer of tape up to, about here or whatnot, just to shore it up. Another thing at this step, what you're going to want to do is actually roll this whip out. And when you roll it out, it will make it a lot rounder and smoother. It'll make it look a lot nicer. And what you do is you just get some flat surface. I use a piece of wood, and I put it on the ground and kneel on it, on a nice clean surface that's very hard. You can't do it on carpet. And then I basically, just push and I roll the whip underneath whatever surface, piece of wood or a brick. And it really puts a nice round finish on each belly that you do and layer. Just always do that in between the steps. It's my recommendation, because you just have such a more quality project. Alright, now we're on to our next belly. And we're going to need 2 14-footers, 1 10-footer, and 1 5-footer. And now what I've done is we're going to start with the 2 14-footers. Again, I put a knot in dead center on them, because these are going to go to basically the end of the whip, and you want them to have they're going to end together, pretty much. Then your 5-foot section and your 10-foot section, I put a knot in it, and then at the end, I staggered them a couple inches. So when we drop strands, it's smoother, and you don't have to worry about it. Alright, so here we are, ready to do the next belly of the whip. I have the 2 14s, and I started out by putting the knots behind the back. And then I came over the left side, and we're doing the same thing just like the beginning. Just like that. And now we need our 10-foot, so let's get that one. Now we're going to slide that under. Just about there. And our 5-foot. Okay. So we'll have 4 on each side. Knots in the middle. Because then I like to see them, because then you know exactly where they are. And if there's one that's not off or anything. even them up in the back so it's smooth. But these knots will be cut off when we finish the handle. Alright, at this point, we're going to, let me lower that. I'm watching the Giants game. They're going to win this season, Super Bowl. Alright, the bottom one again, bottom strand points to this top right one, so we're going to go under 2 over here, over 2. That's our pattern until we drop some strands, and then we're going to change it a little, but not much. Now the bottom strand's pointed over here again to this top one, so we're going to grab from the left side and we're going to go under 2, over 2. And something I noticed about plating is that on the underside sometimes they'll twist and you'll have a twist in it, and that bump, it's a little imperfection. So if you feel it under with your finger a lot, you'll actually prevent it, because you'll still do it, you know. And this is my, I think, 6th whip I've made, and I'm sure I'll screw this one up somehow. But again, we're going under 2, over 2. And then when we get to that one strand to drop it, we'll pick it up from there. Okay, we're ready to drop a strand. Basically, I folded every single one of them nice and tight, which is what you want to do. Keep everything tight. Okay. The strand we're going to drop, we have it on top here, so I just want to bury it under 1. And then we're going to just pull it down like that and forget all about it. And then we're going to come over here. We're going to go under 2, over 2. Flag on the field. And it gets a little tricky here because now there's only 3 on this side. So again, the bottom strand points this way. Grab this one. And we're going to go under 2, over 1. I know it seems a little odd, but that's what we're going to do. Because as soon as we drop the other bit of that strand, with the next strand, it's going to even out and we'll have a nice even pattern. So we'll catch up again at the next strand that we're going to drop. And that's it, you just go right over it. Alright, we're going to drop another strand here. I know the camera angle sucks, but this is really a Cliff Notes version on how to build a whip. Just so you can understand the basics behind it. But after you make your first one, you know, you understand the patterns you have to do. So again, we're just going to pull it down and continue plating right over it, just like it's not even there. This one points up here. I'm going to go under 2, over 1. Now what I do every couple passes to tighten it, I always do that. Sometimes I'll count to 6 or 3, depending on how many strands I have. Just put a little tension on the side and just pull them tight. And don't be afraid to pull, because if you break this stuff, you are strong. And then we're going to continue under 2, over 1. Right up until we're ready to drop another one. Alright. We are ready to drop another strand, and I'm going to drop this one, but to make it a little shorter. So it'll drop. I'm going to do that now. Just like that. Pull everything super tight once more when you drop a strand. Okay, we're acting. Nope, not yet. One more. Okay. Now we're gonna act like it's not there. Okay. Under it. Over it. Now we have 2 on one side and 3 on the other, so we're gonna go under one, over one on the one side. And then on the other side, we're going to go under 2 over 1. It's kind of strange. But once it evens out, it's a much nicer pattern. Again, over 1, under 1, under 1 over 1, and then under 2 over 1. Right until that strand is hidden. And then I'm going to go about another inch and drop the next one. And then it's going to be under 1 over 1 until we're finished here. Till we run out of the other 7-foot strands. I try to keep the center of the whip in front of me. A lot of times it walks away and you'll actually pick it up when you're plating and you don't realize it, and the end of it might actually wind up being plating in the whip because the end of it is the same kind of paracord. I've done that before too. Okay, let's drop that one down. And we're simply going to go under 1, over 1. And that's the pattern we're in now. Under 1, over 1. Let's give everyone that last snug. And then when we get to the end again, what we're going to do is stagger the ends so it has a little taper when we finish. Okay, Giants scored 2 touchdowns. We're doing great. But back to this. We're, roughly at the end of our belly here, and what I'm going to do is stagger the ends, which I just did. Burn them, so they don't fray on you. And then we're going to wrap them around. Oh, we got a flag. And you want to kind of do it so that, around it and when you roll it, they'll flatten out a little bit, but just so they're like even. Like here, I don't like that stagger, so I'm going to cut this one shorter. And then now I'm going to wrap it in tape and add a little more fishing line where the transition is. Now, I told you I was going to screw up here, and I did. Right in the beginning of the handle, right here. I missed a strand. I just missed one, but it's okay because it's the belly, and it's not going to affect anything, really. Just that one. Now, they're all off in the pattern, but it's alright. Alright, so I wrapped it in tape. I rolled it out, which, you know, you can really see the definition when you roll it out and how much smoother it is. And I bonded the transition with, well, it's loose because I just wrap it around, with a lot of the braid line. So that's that. And I'm going to probably just, actually this I'm going to give it another coat of tape. But I ran out, so I got to go get some. I'm going to give it a, you know, just another coat, probably up until, I'm going to say right here with the whip. Just one more coat. Real light, you know, not trying to do a double. But just until it's about there, because this much is probably going to get cut off. So I'm going to go to about here with it, just so we got some room to really thin it out. Okay, we are going to do the same exact thing that we've been doing. We've got our knots, and actually first, what I did is with all of these strands, you need two 24s, 119, 114, 1/8, and 1/5. What I wound up doing is I halved to tie the knots for the 224 lengths, and then all the other lengths I staggered them a couple inches. So when I drop strands, it's easier. It's done, so there's no confusion. Okay. So now we're going to grab our other strings, and I like to go from the top, the longest, to the shortest. And then we just feed them through until we get to that knot, and then we pull it tight. There. That was our 14. This is our 8. And then we're going to do our 5. 14. 8. Ah, I screwed up. The colors are off. That was supposed to be yellow. And the 5, I don't think I halved. I didn't do it, so basically I get the ends off, pull tight, tie it in a loop, and just like that, done. Okay, make sure all the knots are lined up. I'm going to put them in the back on the first 3 strands that I put down, because otherwise it's going to get too bulky in the front. Pull tight. Okay, so you can't view it as 3 and 3, you got to view it as you have 6 strands on either side. And just move that up to the top, make sure they're laying flat. And we're going to start our plating. Alright, what we're doing is we're going to do... Let me undo this so we can see. So you guys don't get too confused because I'm a step ahead of you. Alright, we're going to grab the top two. We're going to do something a little different. We're actually going to plate around, not just on top. Alright, what we're going to do is grab the top two, because we're pointing to over here. And we're going to go over two, under two, over two. Okay. Maybe go like that. Alright. Now this is one of those things that's a real pain in the ass, so you gotta take your time. But after you do the first, 2 inches, it'll even out pretty well. Alright, so we're gonna grab these two, and we're gonna go under two, over two, under two. And this is what's known as a diamond plate or a diamond plat, however you want to pronounce it. Okay. So we're going to grab these two, and we're going to go under two, over two, under two. And we're going to continue that pattern. Alright, at this point, I don't know why my camera wasn't working. It didn't want to record, so as I'm going through editing, I realized that I made a couple mistakes with the actual handle. And the under one, over one. When you end, you want to be over when you're doing those three. So that being said, now what I'm doing is I'm transitioning to a herringbone. And that's pretty much it. I don't know why I made such a long clip here explaining that, but if you just watch, basically I'm going to have the different strands on each side. And I'm going to go under two, I believe, over three. Something like that. I would just watch what I do because I was too distracted. The Giants were playing and I screwed it all up. So I'll make a more in-depth video, but really this is a video to see how many hits I'll get and how many people are interested. And I know I'm going to get emails about this, so feel free and I'll explain more, or I'll just make another video for it, but I'm all videoed out through the week because I had to make a whole bunch. Alright, so we're going to drop another strand. I know these are long, but I cut them long, about an extra foot longer, because I didn't have to cut it. I didn't have to cut it at all, so I figured I would just leave it. So I'm just going to plait a little bit, just so they're buried under there, for the next short one that I do, which is this guy. Right, short it out, okay. Here. Now we're going to have 4 and 4, so we're going to go under 2 over 2 on that side. Okay. Actually, you know what? Yeah, let's do that. And then this side we're going to go under 3 over 2. Under 2 over 2, and then under 3 over 2. And then we're going to drop this one, and we're on to the next one. Alright, we are going to drop the next strand, and we're going to do an even pattern now. We're going to go under 2 over 2 on both sides. I'm actually going to try something different. I'm going to go under 3 over 1 for the transition, just to see what it looks like. If I don't like it, I'll undo it. But I might like that. And then I'm going under 2 over 2. Just to see how the transition goes through. One more. I like it. Do that. Get ahead of myself. Under 2. Over 2. Alright. And then under 2 over 2 till you run out, and then you drop 2 more strands. Alright, we're going to drop another strand here. And we're going to do over, what am I at? 3 on this side and 4 on that side, so I'm going to do over 2, no, under 2 over 1. And then the other side I'm going to continue under 2 over 2. So, I got a little bit more plating to do, and I'll drop this one and pick it up from the next drop off, because you guys... Alright, well, you can see I started dropping the other one, and going under 2 over 1. And we're back into a nice even pattern. Under 2 over 1. And we're going to do that until we drop the next 2 strands. And catch up with you when we do that. Should be fairly soon. Just watched a whole Giants football game, and the whole time it took me to make this. So, you get pretty quick. Alright, dropped another one, and we're going to go under 1 over 1 on that side. And next side we're going to go under 2 over 1, as we were doing. Okay.
Old-fashioned manners, a thing of the past.
But when I was growing up, we sat around the table and we talked.
Now, friends and tablets at the table, kids out of control, people just playing rude.
And now we're gonna drop one more. I know it's kind of long, but the end's getting short. So I'm gonna plate another inch. And then drop that last strand. Okay. And then we're going to do a simple under one, over one pattern to finish. And then we're going to stop before we get to the end because we got to make the fall. And then it'll be a fall hitch. Okay. Extra. And now we're simply going to do under one, over one. That's right, Giants won. Under one, over one. And just keep that right in the center. Alright, so we're done pretty much here with the whip. But we just got to do the full and that's it. So I came to the end here and I'm going to, leave a little bit because I'm just going to keep this out of the hitch. But let me show you how to make the full. Alright, to make the fall, you need 4 feet of gutted paracord and your lacing needle, and you stick it in, and then you fold it in half, find the center, and then you take the lacing needle and you poke a hole right through it. Come on. And some paracord is very, very snug and tight. And this is very difficult. Kind of like this cord is snug and tight on here. And we actually push it towards the opposite end so it creates a little loop. So let's continue doing that. Oh. It came out. But I have to get the needle out, so it's got to go through anyway. Alright, after you stick it in, the needle, and you get it out the other side, you're going to have your little circle on the other. So you're going to close this gap up. Pulled my needle out, it's okay. Just so it's about, that big, just so you can fit maybe a dime in there, or a quarter. Alright, at this point, what you're going to want to do is feed all of these through the fall hitch. And I like to tighten it up on here, just like that. And I put it behind it. And underneath. And what we're actually going to do, I'm just going to plate about another ½ an inch. Okay. Just tight. Is start a hitch knot. So we go around the fall, third through. Make sure it's going to hitch nice, fit on there nice, just like that. And now I like to take the fall and that one, and you put them together,
So then when you go to the next one to tie a knot in that one, you go around everything. Make sure it's going to rest nice and flat. And you go down. Okay. Alright. Now there's 3 of them. And it's got to go under that one. Okay. That's 1, 2. And then we're going to go yellow as the next one. We're going to simply go around everything once more. And then the last one. Alright, that's not a hitch. Okay. And we're going to just snug them up a little bit. And then we're going to take our lacing needle, attach it to the bottom one, and go back through everything and pull that one semi-tight. And we're also going to go through the loop of the fall. Alright, well, at least my needle of the last one, I went through the other 3 in the hitch knot, and I'm going through the fall itself. And I'm just going to pull that a little snug like that, bring my fall hitch down, my fall down, and then pull this back in a little, and this bottom one I'm going to tighten up. Pull that back up a little, and the next one I'm going to tighten up. Next one, take the yellow one, snug that one, and then the last one. A lot of people, you could use pliers to do this, but don't pull up on this one because you're going to destroy the knot and it comes apart and it looks really, really hideous if you do that. And if you want to have them lay differently, you can push it down with the needle. But once you crack it a few times, all of this will actually snug up, what I've noticed. And then we're going to cut them, I'm going to cut them about the same length as the core itself, and then attach, and I'm going to crack it a whole bunch of times, so if whatever thing moves, and it'll settle a little bit. Alright, I'm just going to cut everything down. And one thing I noticed is your fall at this point, run your fingers along it and pull it all the way down to the end here, and you'll feel it go inside of itself, or the other way around, depending on how accurate you hit the center of it. Now I take it and I get it out of the way so you don't accidentally cut it, and along with the core, and then you're left with the other 3. And me being me, because I like to screw things up, I'm going to give it a lot of room. You know, so I said about the same distance. So I'm going to cut it there, crack the whip multiple times, and then go back and trim these a little shorter when I'm done. All of them are going to get trimmed shorter. And then I'll burn a little bit here. Get a little bulk on it. And now we just have to attach the cracker. Alright, and the cracker that I have, I just had it laying around from another whip. They're pretty easy to make. There's videos out there. Just put it around it, and then I give it a reverse hitch, and that's it. Pull it tight, and it's time to test this bad boy out. And then I have to put a handle on it. Alright, that's the whip right there. I wound up rolling it out, and on the end I just wrapped some tape around the bottom of the handle until I figure out what I'm going to do. I might put a aluminum ball, I might cast it out of some recycled soda cans, or a wood ball, just something so it doesn't slip out of your hand. But I could actually just put a Turk's head knot